Yo, what up everybody? ETA on the EUC. It is currently Sunday, July 28th, 7:42 p.m. I'm doing deliveries right now. At first I thought I was gonna make some video recordings, but I'm like, nah, let's just do audio. This is gonna be about the mandate as far as the food delivery mandate, where NYC has required food delivery apps like Uber, Grubhub, DoorDash to pay their delivery drivers a minimum wage. I think it was like the first in the country, maybe other places in the country are doing it now. But that's the thing with NYC. Hold on one second. By the way, I'll have to stop every now and then because I'm doing deliveries. I gotta go to pickups. I gotta look at my phone. I gotta drop it off, etc. But let's just do it. I tried this the other day and I got frustrated because I got too many distractions and I just gave up. But we're gonna pull through today, so. The topic is the food delivery mandate and how it's affected summer here in NYC. And for those of you that are unaware, the summer in NYC doing food delivery was horrible. It was like bad. It was so bad that it wasn't uncommon to get like less than minimum wage. I mean, there's some things you could do to like combat that, like stats and everything like that, but I never did that just because like I couldn't fathom taking like a $3 order for like 2 miles or something. It never sat well with me, so I never really did the stats. I never like brought my stats up to see if it made a difference during the summer, which it probably did, but yeah, for me during the summer, it was just really, really, really bad, to the point where it was just like, why even fucking work? Like, get another job type bad. Like, so once again, the mandate started, I don't know, 2023. I can't remember, like August or something, I don't know. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, September. I can't remember, 2023, where we get paid for trip time. Trip time is when you accept the order to the time you drop it off. It's not when you're waiting in between your orders. It's when you're on an active delivery. That's trip time. At first I started off with 29, like 93 or something like that per active time, which was awesome. And then as expected, the delivery apps are like, nah. We're not paying these guys $30 an hour for delivering food. So long story short, the NYC within the mandate, gave them like 3 options to pay the workers. They could pay like the old way, which is pay per trip. So we saw a trip with the tips and shit like that. We accepted it or declined it. Why are they shooting fireworks right now? We accepted it or declined it based off what we want, blah, blah, blah. And then the other option is pay per time, which is kind of what's taken over during the mandate. And then the other option is, I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, so the apps are just like, yeah, we're not paying these people almost $30 an hour to deliver food. They were for like a month or two, which is awesome. And then they switched it up to now it's like, it's about $20 an hour for like active time. We get to keep the tips on top of that. And we get like additional pay at the end of the week, depending on how many trips we did, how much active hours we had, our stats, all that bull crap. Before this mandate went into effect, the summer slowdown, quote unquote, is something that at least I would call and other people would call here in NYC the summer slowdown, because it was so bad you'd be waiting out here for hours for a decent order. Yeah, you might see orders every now and then, but they'd be so shitty you wouldn't even take it. And that was per trip. So we accepted the order, we did it per trip, and that's why we were declining it and all that stuff. Anyway, during the winter, pre-mandate, it was good, you were busy. Like, it wasn't uncommon to make like $26 to $30 an hour every time you went out. And if it rained, you basically were guaranteed to make like $30 an hour. And what caused that price increase is because everyone was ordering, right? And so there was like a demand when the weather's bad. So yeah, pre-mandate, the weather made a big deal. There were seasons, and the summer, once again, was the slowest season. It was so bad. Like, one of the worst days I ever had. I remember being out all day, like at least 6 hours, and I made like $35, which is like, it's embarrassing to admit, but that was like my worst day ever, and that was during the summer. So that's how bad it could have got, right? And then in comparison, typically most people out here when they do it full time, they make anywhere from, if they're doing a full time, like a 7 to 8 hour shift, they'll make like 150 to 200, like pre-mandate, if the season isn't slow. So there were some plus sides to that and some not so plus sides, some cons. The plus side is during the busy season, the shitty weather seasons basically, you can easily average mid $20 per hour. And that's without knowing too much about the apps or anything like that. Sometimes you can make more, sometimes you can make less, but most of the time you made like around mid 20s, which in NYC isn't a lot, right? But it's a lot for doing food delivery. All right, so that was pre-mandate, and that was a summer slowdown, really, really bad. It's actually the summer now, it's July. We're well into the summer at this point. So I have an idea of how the mandate, post-mandate, how it's changed things, and it's really, really changed things. Post-mandate, obviously, I did not look forward to the summer. In fact, going into this summer, I never experienced the summer post-mandate, so I was actually preparing myself, because I did it 2 years prior, pre-mandate, and it was so bad, I'm just like, I will not work during the summer anymore. So I'm like, all right, let me start looking for another job, because I'm not gonna be sitting around for hours, wasting fucking time, working twice as hard for not that much, right? And so I started looking for a job. And I was putting in applications. I got like one interview. Long story short, I didn't get the job. They didn't call me back. Fine, whatever happens. So I just kept working. I'm just like, And I felt pressured. I knew that summer was coming. I knew that as soon as the weather got warm, usually slows down. But I just kind of put it off and just like, screw it, let's just see what happens. So the summer came around and I was working my scheduled shifts and I was still getting orders back to back to back. I'm like, whoa. If this was pre-mandate and I was working during the summer right now, I would be getting shit. I would be waiting around. But no, it felt like it was the winter, where even though it's the summer, post-mandate, I'm getting orders back to back. I'm like, this is fucking cool. I'm like, but will it last? I'm like, nah, it's not gonna last. Here we are, I don't know, almost 2 months later into the summer, and it's still that way. It's if you're scheduled, at least with Uber, you get orders back to back to back. And it doesn't even matter like what time of day. Like I work like graveyard shift. I like that shift because I don't have to deal with people and like deal with the crowds, and it's relaxing. And obviously during the graveyard shift, less people are up, so technically you should be getting less orders. But even during that time, I'm getting orders back to back to back. It's totally changed. Pre-mandate, you weren't getting shit during the summer. It wasn't even fucking worth it. Might as well get a minimum wage job somewhere else. So yeah, in my opinion, it's better. It's better now during the summer for sure. Because like I said, when you're scheduled, you're getting orders. And because you're getting paid per time, you know, if you get that $2 order, which you would typically decline when you're getting paid per trip, you wouldn't take those pre-mandate. Post-mandate, you are taking that, because even if it's $2 and it was like a 30-minute trip, it's actually $10 because you're getting paid per active time, right? In other words, they're not being picky on the orders. Because of that, we accept everything. And because of that, our stats are a lot higher. And because our stats are a lot higher, we're getting more scheduled times. The apps are treating us better. There has been changes, and it's a lot, basically what I predicted is, you know, they're only gonna pay you what they have to pay you. And by law, they have to pay you basically almost $20 an hour, plus you can keep the tips. So they're only gonna pay you as much as they have to, like I said. So they're basically setting it to where you're basically getting the $20 an hour no matter what. So is there a summer slowdown anymore with this shit, at least with Uber Eats? I would say no. I would say there is no summer slowdown unless you got really bad stats. If you got bad stats, I've heard of people having like 5 hours scheduled, which is really bad. Obviously the cons is during the winter you would make more, and people might try to justify and say that pre-mandate I would just work a lot more during the winter, and that would account for the shitty ass earnings I was making during the summer. But that's kind of shitty. That means basically like you don't have a life during the winter. You have to work all the time just so you can make up for the summer. What if you want to work during the summer? Then you're stuck with, you know, the summer slowdown. So I never liked that. So yeah, I like it post-mandate now because I can work during the summer and in the winter, because I just feel like it evens out. Which just goes to show, like I was against it at first because I knew how the apps worked. I knew that they would do everything in their interest to not pay us as much and make more money, and that's just kind of how business works here in America, I guess. In other words, I felt like they would just figure out a way to screw us over, basically, because that's basically what DoorDash and Grubhub's been doing for a long ass time. Especially DoorDash, this is my own opinion. See, they passed this law because from their stats, the lawmakers' stats here in NYC, they said that food delivery drivers are making like $7 an hour. Like, I don't know where they got those fucking stats. I don't know if they were just looking at certain migrants who can only work one app and then they just didn't know how to use the app or use it to their advantage. So somehow they're only making $7 an hour, which is even hard to do in my opinion during the summer. That would be even difficult to do during the summer pre-mandate. Yeah, Uber gave us a schedule now, and yeah, they have become more restrictive, but not to the point where it's really affecting me. So that just shows that like the lawmakers that did this did the right thing. Because for those delivery drivers that were making $7 an hour pre-mandate, obviously this is a huge boost for them, $20 an hour plus tips. Yeah, like if you were making more before, you're making less now, but like I said, it kind of evens out in my case due to the seasons and due to being busy post-mandate during the slow season. So I think the lawmakers, their hearts are in the right spot, and I thought they might have been making a bad decision, but now that the summer's coming around, all I can say is good job, guys. And for the food apps, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're making less money than they did before, but at the same time, they're surcharging customers because of this $1 per hour mandate. They added like a $5 surcharge. I don't even know. For that reason, amongst another reason, customers aren't tipping as much post-mandate, but it doesn't really matter because for the tips that you do get, which is a lot rarer nowadays, it's still, at least for me, using Uber Eats full time, it ends up being around like $20 an hour. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I feel like I could go in more depth, but that's basically the gist of it. Yeah, leave some comments below. If you're an NYC worker, do you like it better now, post-mandate, as compared to pre-mandate? Let me know. What have your experiences been? What apps are you using? How many hours are you getting? Do you feel like you're making the same amount of money or less? Let me know. Leave it in the comment description below. And yeah, guys, I'll talk to you later.